appreciate our children. We appreciate them so much. Yeah. So the poem in Talikud, which is going to be led by Fawaz.
لجميع الحاضرين مرحبا أهلا وسهلا لجميع الحاضرات مرحبا أهلا وسهلا لجميع الحاضرين. السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
On that day, lost ways are found again. Lost things and small rain shall not be my jail. Your brief box is gone dark with their broken paint. True fingers and shadows, they burst into flame. No shame in the storm, it's part of the game. We rise to the rubble on learning the day. Rewriting the script and unbinding my name. My book is a clean one, my path is a plain. I write what I want, my heart is my dream. For what was ordained, the greatness I attained. You hold in disdain, my words not profane. But I cause every pain, I slay every dragon. I shave every mane, jealousy in fact, is what killed every king. They pray I break down, that I drown in the stream. But I dance in thunder and pass in the rain. I'll plant this flag on the edge of the sea. Shout at the stars, you hear my good name. On that day, you found praise and found them again.
Most of what I would have loved to delve into and duly mentioned by me. Other than the fact that, like me, I want to appreciate everyone here present. First of all, our guest of honor, the Honorable Speaker, Dr. Agoke, our Imam, and every other person on the item, and particularly all of the parents here present today, and most importantly, those of the parents that started this journey with us. And I recall while we were studying the school, there's a whole lot of doubt, which of course is understandable, particularly when there's a shift in what you're trying to introduce into a community that they are not used to that, right? And it started with the stories of doubt. You don't really know what they're trying to do. And for somebody to stay with you in the course of doubt when they had to entrust their children to you as a guinea pig to do the trials, I think it's worthy of commendation for believing in us, and of course for the parents who are joining us. I want to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward all of you. So my standing here likely is going to be a whole lot of appreciation, because the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, "La yashkuru nas, la yashkuru Allah." If you cannot thank people, there's no way you thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the bigger thing He has done for you. If you cannot thank Him for the small thing that people can do for you, then you can't be of that mindset to be able to appreciate the bigger thing. I want to thank you all, and I want to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward all of you for believing in us, for supporting us, and for staying by our side. And if I want to mention, I think I'll mention a whole lot of people. But for the lack of time, I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward all of you.
Amen.
And secondly, I know it's always a cycle. We have the people joining the wagon of this TRA vision. And I think it will also be very important that I reiterate what we stand for. For me, this school is a personal mission for me, and the leveraging or learning from where we started from. And I think I've been telling this story over and over. And if there is anything singularly I will mention as one of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has used as a means of guiding us as a means of repositioning us, it is nothing but that education. And that for me, I've reflected over years and years, and I have a conviction, without any outer of doubt, that if there's any way you want to change the narrative of any society, there's nothing you need to focus more other than education. And this is my message to all the parents. Education is very central, and like we have repeatedly mentioned in so many verses of the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had never, in one particular verse of the Quran, had never asked his prophet for any increment in anything other than knowledge. وَقُلْ رَبِّي زِدْنِي عِلْمًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also said in another verse of the Quran, يَرْفَعُ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مِنكُمْ وَالَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْعِلْمَ
درجات.
So, and of course, Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in so many hadith, فَضْلُ الْعَالِمِ كَفَضْلِ الْعَالِمِ, the virtues of the knowledgeable one to the non-knowledgeable one is just like the virtues of the star to the moon. They are poles apart. So if there is anything we as a Muslim community need to put in all our energy to change the narrative of our community for better, it is nothing but education, and this is my own result. And I think that is what the TRA stands for. And I think certainly MD mentioned our framework of what we believe, because it's not just education, it has to be such an education that gives you that competitive advantage, particularly in the world we live in today. The rate of evolution, the rate of disruption, the rate of so many things you can think of in the world today is at a breathtaking pace. Nothing can put you, nothing can prepare you for that future if you don't have the right leverage, if you don't have the right education, if you don't have the right network of people, and of course, if you take Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of everything, you probably realize that you are going into a future of unknown and you are not prepared for that future. That is why, for me, and for what TRA stands for, it's about positioning these children for that future that we are here to know about. For that future that we don't know how it's going to play out. For that future that we may not even be there. To even provide the support, to even provide the right helicopter parenting that we typically provide them. And that goes in two ways. The first one is the material opportunity that we position them for, which is by way of education, by way of work, by way of whatever we leave behind for them. However, we also need to recognize that that alone may not be sufficient to protect their future for them. And the key part that we parents will sometimes overlook is even our own righteousness. But we all know the verse in Surah Al-Kahf. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in that verse of the Quran, when Musa alayhi salatu wasalam was trying to protect the wealth, the treasures of those orphans, Musa could not imagine what was going on until when the Khidr alayhi salatu wasalam told Musa to say that the reason why he's protecting these orphans is because وَكَانَ أَبُوهُمَا صَالِحًا. Their father, their great-grandfather, they were righteous. Even when their parents were not there, the righteousness of their parents was there to protect their future for them. And that is why it is recorded, Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, whenever he's praying his Qiyamul Layl, Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu will see his children sleeping, and he will say to himself, I'm elongating my Qiyamul Layl. I'm doing more of a righteous deed because of you, these children. And he will recite that verse of the Quran. وَكَانَ أَبُوهُمَا صَالِحًا. These are the two things that are very, very essential. That we as a parent will position these children for the future we never knew about. When you go into the world of business, nobody tells you, if you ask anybody to give you their plan, if anybody comes to you and give you a 5-year plan, then you know that this person doesn't know what he's saying. The long term in the past, that used to be 10 years, the long plan today in the world of business is tomorrow. If somebody will ask you, give me your long-term plan, he's telling you about what are you doing tomorrow. It's not 2 months, it's not 3 months, it's not 4 months, it's tomorrow. Some people even argue the future is today. If you don't prepare for the future from today, you can't be anywhere tomorrow. And that is why we as a parent, we have to take all of these things into cognizance. As much as we are striving, as much as we are trying to position these children, I want to reiterate that these two elements are very crucial. You see a whole lot of parents today, I want you to become an hafiz of the Quran. I want you to be righteous, but you are not modeling the righteousness you want to see in them, right? We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless all of these children for us, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide them aright. Because these children, as much as we are investing our time in them today, as much as we are trying to equally invest in them today, we should equally realize that it's a two-way traffic. It's a what? It's a two-way traffic. If you invest in them today, there's a return, which may be material return, and of course, read that return in the year after. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Idha mata ibn Adama inqata min amalihi illa min thalatha." If somebody dies, everything that he has done in this life will stop to accrue for him. Nothing will accrue for him anymore, except 3 things. And one of that which is mentioned is al-waladu salih yad'u lahu, a righteous children that he left behind, and that children they are making dua for him. In one hadith, if I'm not mistaken, is reported in Sunan Ibn Abi Dawud. They say a man will come on the day of Qiyamah, because on the day of Qiyamah, every one of us will know where we belong. You will know the amount of deed that you brought forth on the day of Qiyamah. Allah said, "Bal insan ala nafsihi basira." Everybody will be able to judge himself on the day of Qiyamah. It's not something that you will struggle to understand where your place will be on the day of Qiyamah. And a man who never expects to have anything of mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he never expects to have anything of forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He will see in his scroll of deed that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forgiven him of almost all of his sins. And he will ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَهَنَّ لِهَذَا, where are these things come to me from? Where have I gotten all of these things from? The angel, they will reply him, بِكَثْرَةُ الْإِسْتِغْفَارُ أَوْلَادُ لَكِ, because of constant forgiveness that your children are asking for you. That is why if you invest in them today, there's a return to that on the day of Qiyamah. Not only that, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, وَيُؤْتَى بِرَجُلٍ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ, a man will be brought forth on the day of Qiyamah, and he will ask him to recite the Quran. Iqra, read, and ascend. And you keep reading until you got to a point of where you have memorized the Quran. It will be an opportunity for him or her to make intercession for his parents on the day of Qiyamah. The whole lot of what we stand for be having some of our alumni, some of our students, just like the honorable have mentioned, we have one business, this is Dr. A, Dr. B, Dr. A, this is engineer, this is lawyer, and all of that, and it will become the pride of the firm in the future. And of course, on the last note, our aim is to have these children balance the good of both worlds. The world that they